guys, and welcome to the first episode of my new series. So, recently I decided to start up a YouTube channel to teach Redstone because I've been working with Redstone for about over 4 years, and yeah, so over the past days I've been building this little tutorial area, and I'm going to go into each part individually and make sure I cover as much as possible. So, today, as mostly where everyone starts when you learn Redstone, is understanding binary. So I've built a few boards here which are going to help explain and make you be able to tick off each of these lamps. So if we move over to our first sign, binary is in base 2. This means there are only two numbers, ones and zeros. This also means that each digit is the next multiple of 2, always starting at 1. Computers use binary because there are only two states in computers, on and off signals. Binary is also used to reduce the amount of information needed to represent the numbers in denary/decimal. Decimal is our numeral system and it is base 10. So going over binary, when it comes to a new code, like a new language, it is always to a base, and that base represents how many numbers are used in the language and also what each numerical digit is evaluated to. So that is going to be a lot better explained when I move on to the next board. So if we look here quickly, we've got the binary table. So as you can see, value, remembering it's base 2, so there are only two numbers. So as you remember, binary, there's only two numbers, and they are 0 and 1. And then the other part was the numerical value. Base 2, each digit is another multiple of 2. And remember, it always starts at 1. So 1 times 2 is 2, times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. Now how this actually works, oh yeah, actually we can go on to that after, because I'll be able to show that soon. Oh. But there you can see the numerical value and the value of each. So just as another quick example so you can tell the difference, is I have the decimal table, which is our numeral system. So this is one you're going to understand, obviously. So value decimal is base 10, so there are 10 numbers, 0 to 9. As you know, in our numeral system, it goes from 0 to 9. And then we have our numerical value. Each number is another multiple of 10, always starting at 1. So you looking at this number know that this is 1529. Now that also works if we look at the graph. We've got 1000 times 1 is 1000, 100 times 5 is 500, 10 times 2 is 20, and 1 times 9 is 9, 1529. So that's the way each of these languages work. So as you can see, we've got the binary example. Oh, this world will also be in a link, yeah. So it'll be linked in the description, so you can actually download it for yourself, because I can imagine not everyone will be able to gather everything from one tutorial and they might need a little look. So we have got two parts left. We've got converting binary to denary/decimal, and MSB and LSB. Now I'm going to start on LSB and MSB before we go on to the converting, because it's much easier. So I made again another little table. The reason why I've made all these tables is so anyone who downloads the world is obviously not going to have me talking to them and telling them each individual thing, so they can read it for themselves. So let's look at this. So when reading binary, MSB and LSB are used to help us read it back correctly. MSB, the largest bit, so the largest bit you're using. So for us in this example, it's 8, and the LSB, the lowest bit you're using. So that is always going to be 1, because remember, binary always starts at 1. So the reason why we read from MSB, so from MSB to LSB, is because we know where it stops. So as you remember, MSB, your most significant bit, can change. So it's not always going to be 8. You might have 16, 32, 64. But your least significant bit is always going to be 1. So if I'm reading this, I know, to say I'm reading the ones and zeros of this, I know there are only 4. As whereas if I went this way, this number could change. So that's the reason behind using MSB and LSB, most significant bit and least significant bit. It's the way you read it. Now the way you write it, the way you write it from here is always from right to left. So 1 is always on the right, or the least significant bit is always on the right, and the most significant bit is always on the left. Now this is a general binary rule. I don't quite understand why you do that, but you just do. So there we go. So first we're going to look at reading ones and zeros. So let's just add a few torches. Okay, now if we're reading this in ones and zeros, remember we start from 1. No, we start from here, because obviously we always read from left to right, so we know when to stop. So at the moment, that gives us 0, 1, 0, 1. That is this what we have here read in ones and zeros. Now the reason for that is, for each new numerical value you have with a on state, that represents a 1. So for us, this one is a 0, this one is a 1, this one is a 0, and this one is a 1. Now we're just going to do another quick example, and then we can move on to turning it into decimal, because that's the part that is really helpful. So if I had this, obviously if you're sitting at home, you can easily sit there and tell me if you know exactly what this is. So this is 1, 1, 0, 0. And again, this is 1, 1, 0, 0 because we have an on state here, an on state here, an off state here, and an off state here. So off states represent 0, on states represent 1. Okay, now, reading this to decimal is slightly different. So I'm just going to do a quick one. So if I put a 1 state here, in denary, this is 2. Now the way you convert from binary to denary is by looking at each 1 you have for each numerical value and adding it together. So for us at the moment, the only numerical value we have that has an on state is 2. So the answer is 2. And if I change this and I put this on 8, but from binary to denary, this is now 8. Now you might be thinking, well, how can I do the number 3 in denary because we don't have a 3 on here? Now again, remember what I said, each numerical value that has an on state is added together to make a total. So in this case, 1 add 2 is 3. So in binary, this represents 3, and in denary, this represents 3. So that is how you convert binary to denary, and you read binary in ones and zeros. So now that's quite straightforward. So if you don't understand anything that I've shown you in this video, please ask, please comment. It's just going to take me a few minutes just to explain it. The download link will be in the description. So I'm just going to go over a few little things just to make sure you've got it. So remember, LSB is your least significant bit, and your MSB is your most significant bit. So your most significant bit can change, because it's not always going to be 8, it can be 16, 32, and any multiple of 2 from there. To read binary in ones and zeros, you simply have to just read the on and off states. So for this case, 1, 0, 1, 0. Simple as that. Now if we was reading this in denary, we add up all the numerical values with an on state, which is 2, and 8, which makes 10. And remember, base 2 stands for there are only 2 numbers, 0 and 1, and also the next numerical value is always a multiple of 2. And understanding binary, pretty simple. The reason why computers use binary is because they can only represent 2 states, on and off. And also, using binary does limit the amount of redstone lines you will need to carry information. So for example, 1, 2, so that's 3 plus 4 is 7 plus 8 is 15. So this has a maximum output of 15. So the maximum number you can make with this is 15, which is that. Now, if I wanted to do that with Denary, I would need 15 lines. One for 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 15. So that shows you how data can be simplified. So thank you for watching, subscribe, like the video, and the next tutorial is going to be on logic gates, and as you can see, I've put a lot of work into this tutorial. So thank you for watching, see you next time.